Hello, good morning and welcome to this round 10 here at Grand Prix Utrecht. We have our very first feature match ready for you to go. You'll notice that both of these players on 9-0. There's a bit of a theme for much of our feature match area. We've got a few undefeated players to see. But we're going to be kicking things off with Danny de Roy. He's referred to it as Dutch Saheeli combo. It's a Jeskai Saheeli deck that we'll be seeing a little bit more details of soon enough. Up against Samuel Vior, who is on Mardu Ballista. We call it Ballista rather than vehicles because actually this list not as heavy on the vehicles and a little bit more kind of controlling.
Yeah, as the name implies, it does play Walking Ballista. Someone Vio mentioned yesterday to Frank Carson after he finished up day one that he just feels it makes the deck better. He cut Veteran Motorist, he cut Inventor's Apprentice, and that the mana just feels better. And Walking Ballista is not an artifact for Spire of Industry, just does a lot of cool stuff. And I think we might see a very surprising artifact sooner or later.
A shock there from Danny just to take down Scrap Heap Scrounger, at least for now. Only a Thraben Inspector left for Samuel Viol, but this game's going to take a while to play out. We're gradually seeing Danny develop his mana base here. All three colours, very straightforward and easy on the early turns.
Scrap Heap Scrounger was a great turn to play, and while it can keep coming back, it's very important to maybe kill it early without putting other creatures in the graveyard so that you stem a lot of the bleeding in the early turns. Thraben Inspector still coming through for one.
Yeah, I don't think Danny's going to be too worried about a point here and there, but once it's 3-point chunks coming through, that adds up fairly quickly. In terms of what Danny's got going on with his deck, the classic Saheeli combo is with Felidar Guardian and Saheeli. But this particular build has a couple of other creatures that are nice to flicker too, right?
Yeah, the one thing that Danny is saying is the biggest advantage of his particular version and why we call it Dutch Saheeli combo is the fact that he's running Overla Virtuosos in the main deck as a nice energy mana sink, and it basically allows him to win a different game because a lot of the time these sort of Jeskai control decks can generate a lot of energy but don't have that many ways to spend it. You know, there are your Harness Lightning and so on, but it doesn't play any Dynavolt Towers. So the way for Danny to go about this was to run Verla Virtuosos, which provide a very good alternative win condition. And as you mentioned, they're pretty nice with Felidar Guardian, netting you 3 more energy whenever you flicker it.
Toolcraft Exemplar coming down for Samuel here, and with a clue in play, it will be able to attack as a 3-2, but not much pressure on. And Glimmer of Genius here from Danny. Fired off, he's going to gain the energy, scry 2, and then get to draw a couple of cards. This is a card that we saw a huge amount of play from yesterday.
Yeah, it's one of the most important cards in not just this deck, but in the both blue-red and blue-red-green Dynavolt Tower decks, as they allow you to further your cards, improve your card selection, and especially together with Torrential Gearhulk is just huge problem. We've seen it action with double and triple Dynavolt Towers yesterday, and just generates so much energy and additional cards that it's very overpowering.
An instant speed card drawing is something that has not been a fixture for every blue control deck in the last few formats. This is a fairly good example of an instant speed card drawing spell these days.
Yeah, actually Danny kept both cards. I think it was a Nahiri and a land.
Yeah, this is one of the things that's interesting about Danny's list in particular. There's a lot of Planeswalkers that he can work with, not just Saheeli. Chandra, I think that a lot of us are fairly familiar with Tortured Defiance. Nahiri isn't as commonly played, but when Nahiri comes into play, she can have a big impact on the board.
Let's see if we're going to see the white-red Planeswalker here. Looks that way.
Nahiri does come down. I think that we're likely to need to see some big action from her initially, because right now, at least on the board, Samuel is representing 4 damage, which would take down the Planeswalker.
Yeah, he's going to plus it. He has, I think, at least a land to discard. Oh no, he just plus it without doing anything, which is something you can do. It does say you may discard a card if you do draw a card, so he refused to do so. And now Samuel is at a interesting point where he has to decide what he wants to attack, Danny or Nahiri. Neither of which seem very appealing to me, because if you attack Danny, then the 6 loyalty stays on Nahiri, and she can start shooting down the creatures because it destroys tapped creatures. Or attacking Nahiri, which then means that Danny can stay at a safe life total.
And of course, 1 mana left untapped. There could be a shock in the future, which would make attacks even more awkward looking. But no, 4 damage coming through on Saheeli. Her loyalty drops to 2.
Basically, sometimes this feels like 4 life gained in a way.
certainly buys a little bit of extra time. We got a Planeswalker on the other side, though. Samuel here with Gideon, ally of Zendikar. Starts on 4 loyalty. Unlikely to get up to a full 6, but here comes the Knight ally. That costs 0 loyalty. Samuel just sort of making his board a little bit wider here. That should prove potent against the plan that Danny has going on.
Yeah. Just Gideon, we saw it on the battlefield yesterday quite a few times, and one player even activating like 7 or 8 turns in a row, and at some point it wasn't looking like it was enough, but it's just so powerful. The stream of creatures, the threat of the emblem, even the +1 attacking for 5 with a huge creature can swing the boards very much. It's a great card.
Now Danny up to 6 mana, and for almost every deck that we've seen in this standard field, once the blue decks get 6 mana, immediately you need to start thinking about Torrential Gearhulk, and I believe there is a copy in Danny's hand. Already a Glimmer of Genius in the graveyard, and it has to change the way that you play out future turns.
Yeah, but the problem at this point on that Danny has fallen behind on the board significantly. The Gideon changed just what the game is looking like completely, because suddenly it's a big threat on the board that he has no answer to, and we know that Samuel actually has an unlicensed disintegration in his hand, so meaning that Danny would have to tap out to play the Torrential Gearhulk, and Samuel would take the opportunity to kill it while further developing his board with either another Knight Ally token or maybe an attack with the Gideon as well.
Now, at the Pro Tour, we saw that decks with Planeswalkers weren't doing particularly well because you still had Heart of Kiran, you still had Unlicensed Disintegration, which just deals 3 damage to a Planeswalker if you so choose. They seem to have had a bit of a resurgence here.
Yeah, and as you can see, the decks have changed a lot overall. It's not just... I think it's the case because the format has slowed down a little bit, where people are not that much on their all-in aggro decks, and they're trying to play it a little slower. And as you can see, even Danny recognizing the threat of the Unlicensed Disintegration and only going for an Oath of Chandra, getting rid of a Toolcraft Exemplar. But tapping low, he has 4 cards, but only 4 mana, so no Gearhulk action this turn. And Samuel's hand is great. He has a Chandra, Torture of Defiance as well, alongside that Unlicensed Disintegration. Look at that. These are going to be some big beats.
Well, this is the way that you attack a Planeswalker. One big hit from Gideon will be enough. The other 2 heading straight for Danny.
Yeah, just an Immolating Glare, I think, for Danny DeRoy in his hand. And it's not going to do anything about the Gideon. But he reads it again just to be safe, but it does.
Yeah. Is it indestructible, or does it just get all damage prevented?
It has indestructible and it has all damage prevented to it, so best of both worlds.
Yeah, the templating on Planeswalkers that become creatures tends to have something about something like that preventing damage, or because it just gets a bit awkward figuring out what that means for loyalty.
Yeah.
If you block with a 2/2 and it loses 2 loyalty, that's actually a pretty big swing.
Yeah, exactly. I'm surprised Samuel is holding off on and playing any cards. He could have played the Chandra here, but he's leaving mana open. He has that Unlicensed Disintegration he's thinking about. So we'll see what Danny will be up to here. I think Samuel just wants to bring back the Scrappy Scoundrel, but he could have done that alongside the Chandra. So I'm surprised he didn't go for it. He did have an artifact for the second red mana as well.
And I guess that the one thing that we can say for Danny here is that we've successfully navigated to pretty much the late game here, and he's still on 16 life, and he's still got cards in hand. Anytime that the Saheeli combo deck gets up to this sort of mana level, it can potentially just close out the game in one fell swoop.
Yeah, that can definitely happen, but that Gideon already on 5 loyalty is definitely going to be a big threat, and if not answered quickly by these Jeskai decks, the game can end very quickly, and as you can see, Samuel just not scared, plus the Gideon and swinging with the team. Representing 9 damage here. It's easily a 2-turn swing.
And there's that Torrential Gearhulk. Now we're going to see some action from Samuel, I would imagine.
Yeah. It's definitely going to prompt him into action. Let's see what Danny decides to play from his graveyard with instant, because he can go for shock as well. He has a Glimmer of Genius as well. Yeah, he goes for the Glimmer. gonna dig for cards. I still think he has a Harness Lightning from a couple of turns before, but not really any good targets. As we said, the Gideon cannot be killed by Harness Lightning, and the Scrappy Scrounger can keep coming back. Right, and I think, yeah, Sam readying cards already. Unlicensed Disintegration. The Gear Hulk, take 3.
The first rule of these Mardu decks.
Yep.
They've always got it.
Yeah, we talked about this yesterday, and it did always seem like they just have it, always.
Yeah, good old Murder Plus.
Murder Bolt, as I saw some people in the chat referring to it.
We've had Murder Bolt, we've had Blightning.
Oh, yeah.
When are we going to get Discard 2 and Kill Target Creature as well? For the full trilogy.
It sounds very efficient.
Oh, yeah.
Probably it's going to cost more than 3 mana.
So Danny on just 4 life.
Yeah.
He's got a lot of work to do now.
Yeah. And I don't think there's much that he can do about the Gideon play. I mean, I do see Wandering Fumarole, which can be used on defense or offense. But, yeah, it just doesn't kill the Gideon. It costs way too much mana. And I think Samuel is sandbagging another Unlicensed Disintegration, of course, as they do.
They always have it. It's a very simple rule to work by.
And if they don't have it, you win.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's
if they don't have it, then they're clearly not a real Mardu Vehicles deck, so it's not in a conversation.
Yeah. That's a lot of my experience as well with this sort of deck. But it's probably because I played a lot of Forkellis Sahili over the last couple of weeks, so I was always happy when they did not have an Unlicensed Integration. Another Thraben Inspector for Samuel that he just drew.
I mean, there's an argument here for saying, let's see if I can win with what's on the board rather than complicating things.
Yeah, I mean, he can attack first, and post-combat he can figure out if he wants to Chandra Plus or whatever else he might be wanting to do here.
Yeah, there are a lot of threats already that Danny needs to deal with. Gideon up to 7 loyalty. I spoke earlier on about how getting up to even 6 was a little unlikely for this Gideon, but as it turns out, he just loves the red zone.
Yeah, he does indeed. And there's the Wandering Fumarole making an appearance, and Sam was like, hold on. I think I will have some effects. I mean, I think Danny will be able to survive this turn because I think he has Negate and Harness Lightning, so he can negate the Unlicensed Disintegration. And he can chump block the Gideon, and while still playing Harness Lightning to kill off the Scrappy Scrounger, only take 1. Sam was all the time like, yeah, and is that it? And is that it? So I think Danny's going to end up just taking 1 damage this turn from his Thraben Inspector. But what he doesn't know is that he's going to end up on the back end of a Chandra Torch of Defiance very, very soon. Once this resolves.
He's done so much good work.
Yeah, right? I mean, he's holding on. I think he still has that Gideon to worry about anyway. It would have particularly mattered, but Danny down to 3. And I think he's going to go down to 1 very shortly with a Chandra Plus.
It seems like a fairly safe bet.
No, someone will just want to be sure that is what he wants to do.
It's amazing how day 1 of GPs, round 1, this decision might be a relatively quick one. Once you're already at 9-0, you're thinking, I just don't want to screw up at this point because I can taste it. I'm in a good spot.
And look at that. He just doesn't even go for the Chandra. I don't know if he's trying to conceal the fact that he's playing Chandra at all.
Or at least conceal it main deck.
Yeah, exactly. That just doesn't want to reveal the information and that he thinks he can win anyway. And yeah, look at that. It's like he had a good read because Gideon is really hard to deal with in this situation. And it didn't need to show that he actually is playing Chandra, Torch of Defiance at all, even main deck. But now I think it's not like Danny wouldn't expect it after sideboard anyway. So I don't think Samuel did gain that much by doing that, and I would have just jammed the Chandra, but it worked fine without it as well.
So 1 game up for Samuel Viol. We do have other matches going on in our feature match area. We have plenty of undefeated players. I say plenty. all of the undefeated players have made it into our feature match area. We're going to get a chance, as these players are sideboarding, to jump across and see a few more of them in action.
Yeah, there's 5 total, I think, undefeated players. So we also have some other good players in the feature match area that are not undefeated, such as Marcio Carvalho.
Yeah, Marcio is playing against Rafael Dolshade. We have Yupan Jackie Chan is against Andre Stradsky. Both of them are on 27 points. Also, Fabrizio Campanillo, he on 27 points. He made top 8 in Prague recently, and up against Arnaud Hochmüller from France, who is paired up.
Yeah, that's a good thing usually. I mean, you get paired up against a player with a better record, but it means that win or lose, your tiebreakers are going to be much better if you have played someone on the points that you have. So it's always nice. As you can see, we would love to show you some more magic, but everyone's shuffling.
Yeah, synchronized magic going on here. It's amazing how often that happens, even when you have 3 matches going on, everybody's shuffling. So as soon as we have a match started, we'll get a chance to jump across to one of those for you. Looks like there we can see Andre Stradsky up against Yupan Jackie Chan. Both of those players undefeated on day 1. Andre, I spoke to him on Friday, and he said, I've got a deck that feels like either I'm going to crash and burn or I'm going to win the whole GP. Well, he's definitely not crashed and burned. He has not lost so far.
Yeah.
So everyone else needs to be a little concerned because he's a very strong player.
Yeah. And, he's from Channel Fireball Ice, and his teammate Joel Larson's also here. He went 8-1 after losing the first round that he was playing, round 4 total, to Gregor Kowalski, who also finished 8-1. We were joking about how Gregor Kowalski's tiebreakers were insane, like 85%, which is something I haven't seen in a long time. But he played so many of the good players that his tiebreakers just really held up well. But Stradsky's the one with the 9 wins and 0 losses.
And we can see here, Timo Dynavolt Tower is the weapon of choice for Andre Stradsky. Kind of a breakout deck for this tournament, really. On the other side of things, Yupan Jackie Chan playing Jund aggro, a little bit reminiscent of what Martin User top 8'd the Pro Tour with, of course, from Team Channel Fireball Fire.
Yeah, Martin didn't play Jund aggro this tournament. He went with the Mardu vehicles. Wasn't running as hot as he would have hoped. I should have just ran it back with the Jund aggro.
Yeah, I know that even on Friday he was a little undecided as to what to work with. He had been consulting with his Channel Fireball compatriots, and I know that he had an option on the Timo Dynavolt Tower deck, chose not to take it, and ultimately it has worked out better for his teammates that have gone with the new deck.
Oh yeah.
Yupan Jackie Chan. Apparently we heard yesterday this player who's from Hong Kong but currently living in Ireland changed his name such that it'd be easier for people to pronounce. His Chinese name, one that a lot of people had trouble with. This one people are a little bit more familiar with.
And it helps us as well, because we can just call him Jackie.
There's a Scrap Heap Scrounger from him.
A great card.
Passes things back to Andre, who is just... I've seen him all weekend just looking pleased as punch at being able to just play lands, say go, and then play lots of spells at the end of his opponent's turn, in this case, an Anticipate. Yeah.
He also has been enjoying playing with Dynavolt Tower. We've seen one of his matches where he finished off the game casually by firing a bunch of lightning bolts at his opponent's face.
We've heard that our first match is just kicking off. We're going to get a chance to check out some of that. Don't worry, we will get a chance to jump back to this one, I'm sure. But let's see how things are going on in our main match, that being the one between Danny Deroy on the left of our screen and Samuel Villot on the right. Scrap Heap Scroungers all around in our feature match area. We've just seen one from Yupan Jackie Chan, one now from Samuel Villot in our first match.
Yeah, one of the all-stars from the Pro Tour, and ever since it was released, just a very efficient creature, filling a lot of roles. And look at that, just going for the release the gremlins.
Yep, turn it into a gremlin, get a body on the board and a Scrap Heap Scrounger, at least for now, in the graveyard.
Yeah, I mean, this is pretty decent for Danny. He'll get rid of a pretty annoying creature for a while, and it's going to take a lot of turns before the Scrounger can be brought back into play. It usually takes a while to get a creature in the graveyard. Well, there's a Thalia. That's a nice one, especially against a deck with so many non-basic lands that can really punish Danny here.
Well, Wandering Fumarole comes into play tapped anyway, so that might be a good choice of lands to put into play this turn.
Okay.
I mean, a 3-2 first striker is also a little bit problematic for what Danny has going on here.
Ooh, look at that. Some of you drew an Obnixilis, and I think he also has a Nahiri in his hand. And Chandra too, but I don't think he has a fourth land. He's just thinking about a Walking Ballista here. Also has an unlicensed disintegration, I believe.
Well, currently doesn't have access to any red mana.
Yeah, because he has
No
no
artifacts.
artifacts. Yeah.
That Spire of Industry currently only tapping for colorless, and 2 concealed courtyards that each tap for a black and a white.
That's why he wants to play the Ballista here. It's only going to be a small one, but at least it will enable him to get some red mana for his Spire of Industry. There's the Ballista. And this is what he talked about. He wants to run the Ballista because it does make the Spire of Industry a little better. But now, I think Danny had an Nahiri of his own. Maybe he can get rid of the Thalia by using the minus ability and exile it. Actually, exiling really relevant here because it means that it won't hit the graveyard and the Scrappy Scrounger won't get to eat it.
Yeah, a little stumble on mana is a potential for any 3-color deck, and it looks like right now Samuel Vio really is relying on having an artifact in play for that inspiring advantage. Sorry, that Tower of Industry.
Spire of Industry.
There we go.
We got there. All right.
Oath of Chandra coming down, dealing with Thalia.
Another tapped land. Would have come down tapped anyway, and I like the way that Danny has played this. He's keeping up. He had the Nahiri in his hand, but he actually wants to keep up Negate now that he finally has some blue mana. He doesn't know that he won't need it for now because just a Toolcraft exemplar from Samuel Wheel. And now if Danny has an untapped line, he can play Nahiri and keep up Negate mana. Maybe he can play something else as well. He has an Immolating Glare. Lots of cards. I can't even see all of them.
Yeah, plenty of action and variety that we've seen across this GP. Even this Saheeli combo deck, not a typical version of Saheeli, and the Mardu Ballista deck, not a typical version of Mardu. Within archetypes, we've seen new things going on, but also we've seen some new archetypes here at this GP. It's been an interesting development on Standard.
Yeah, overall, the claims that Standard is boring, I think, are... I mean, I wouldn't say they're not based in any sort of truth whatsoever, but I would say that Standard has seen some innovation. There is things to do. And there you see Scrappy Scrounger coming back. It's a price to pay if you're Oath of Chandring away the Thalia rather than using the Nahiri, and an untapped land for some VO. Unfortunately, no double red for Chandra just yet, but he can play Nahiri if he wants to. But people in the chat were asking about why we call it the Dutch Saheeli combo, and Frank told us before the start of the day that it's just because of two things. Firstly, Dutch refers also to the 3 colors of the deck and the 3 colors in the Netherlands flag, which is something that's been said about France and USA because they're all red, white, and blue.
And the United Kingdom, and basically almost
Russia.
Yeah, there's a huge amount of countries that have red, white, and blue as their flag, but it still counts.
Yeah, I still remember distinctly some decks red, white, and blue were called American something, American that or American this. All right, so this time it's Dutch, but on the other hand is as well the Saheeli combo is that the fact that it is a Saheeli combo deck, but it is also like a Jeskai control deck. But as you can see on the battlefield, that Danny DeRoy, he played a World of Virtuoso, which is a card that, while it has been present in other decks, it has not been present in the Saheeli control deck. But this innovation, I think, has helped Danny win quite a few number of games from what he was telling us.
Worth noting, though, that in order to cast Well of Virtuoso last turn, Danny did have to tap out of blue. He's got a negate in hand, but right now the shields are down, so if, for example, Nahiri came along this turn, there's not so much that Danny could do to stop it.
Yeah, pretty big risk here from Danny just on that 1 blue mana, and I think Samuel Vio is going to look to try to punish that with a Nahiri of his own, and he can easily also just plus it by discarding one of those more other planeswalkers that he has, or maybe he has some removal spells that he doesn't think are very good here, and just keep digging for more cards, because I also think I saw the Obnixilis in his hands.
And we saw this suite of planeswalkers doing great work for Samuel yesterday.
Oh yeah.
Against some decks that can handle the straightforward aggression of a Mardu list, having access to all of these planeswalkers means that he gets to be a bit more controlling.
Yeah, and 2 players that are 9-0 are playing Mardu Ballista, and we saw some other Frenchmen also playing this particular version of the Mardu deck. So, yeah, look at that. And Samuel actually decided not to discard any cards to Nahiri again, just like Danny, in the game before. Just plus Nahiri without discarding card. That's also a valid play. And 6 loyalty is a lot to get rid of. But let's see what Danny can do here. I quite like the Oath of Chandras in this sort of deck list. It gives you a relevant alternative win condition together with some planeswalkers in the late game. Just the 2 damage can become surprisingly relevant sometimes that the Oath of Chandra deals. You know, alongside a Sahili that pinks for 1 as well.
Mm-hmm.
But also it's very neat with the Felidar Guardian because you can target the Oath of Chandra and blink it, and then it comes to play and deals 3 damage again.
So Danny heading off to Nahiri here. Conveniently, Nahiri just has so much loyalty to work with that she can take a hit or 2.
Yeah, and look at that. Danny has another release the Gremlins, and he could actually play it for 2, trying to destroy both Walking Ballista and Scrappy Scrounger, and I think that's what he's going for. He won't get to hit the Ballista, of course, because Samuel can just shoot Thopter in response, or shoot Danny. He's going to go for the Thopter, of course. So that means that once the release the Gremlins resolved, I think you're only going to get 1 Gremlin. Even though,
it's just destroy X artifacts, create X red gremlins. The one is not contingent on the other.
Yeah, so he should get 2 Gremlins.
He should have 2 gremlins here, I believe.
That's what I was wondering.
It might be something.
Yeah, if the card would say,
if you do,
or like for every artifact destroyed this way, put a 2/2 red gremlin to play, but it actually doesn't say that. Yeah. As long as at least one of the targets is legal when it resolves, it should create the 2 gremlins.
It looks like they're just double checking that now on the table.
Yeah, I think we even have. Hopefully, the judge is gonna say exactly how this is gonna end up. Yeah, so destroy X target artifacts, create X 2/2 red creature tokens that are gremlins. I botched that.
But yeah, it's a relatively straightforward one in terms of the ruling. Conveniently, we do have judges in the feature match area pretty much the entire time, trying to keep everything straightforward and easy.
Yeah, the difference would be if, for example, the Ballista was a 2/2 and Samuel would destroy his own Scrap Heap Scrounger in response, then there would be 0 Gremlin tokens, because the important thing is you need to have at least 1 legal target if the spell resolves, and if there's at least 1 legal target, then all the effects happen. So that's why it should be 2 Gremlin tokens. And I think it might be that Danny DeRoy didn't even know this ruling, so he's just explained the situation and confirming that this is how it works.
Yeah, it's an interesting one because it's, if he put 1 into play, it shows that he was resolving the spell.
Yes.
And given that he showed that he knew that it should put in gremlins, I don't know if he's actually allowed to miscount.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think he was trying to. Both players were just explaining to the judge that I think Samuel made a point, but he only put 1 token into play. But he clearly declared 2 targets. One of them was not value on resolution, but the other one was. So he should get the full card effect, no matter what his opponent thinks. So, yeah.
And so it looks like we now get to keep on keeping on. 2 gremlins on board, along with Whirler Virtuoso. No energy to make further Thopters, but a happy amount of creatures on the board, and Nahiri looks to be ticking down here in order to exile that Whirler Virtuoso.
I like it.
Samuel Vio may be saying that's not the Planeswalker that he's so interested in anymore, because now he has Obnixlis Reignited, ticking up, taking a little bit of damage, but for his trouble, getting a card.
Yeah, and you can see how important actually having actual creatures is in this sort of matchup, because the Mardu Ballista deck turned into a very heavy Planeswalker deck after sideboarding, and just having to release the Gremlins and even just the Whirler Virtuoso means that Danny has at least some board present, and he can threaten these planeswalkers with attacks here. And if you look at that, he can also attack one. He has a Needle Spires too. I forgot about that. And so that means that he'll be able to actually take down both planeswalkers here this turn.
Yeah, time to go planeswalker hunting.
Yeah, his opponent is tapped out. Boom, boom. They're all gone. And Samuel just might have missed that.
These gremlins.
These gremlins are great. And Danny will get to develop his mana further with another Inspiring Vantage. And playing some planeswalkers of his own, so once he gets to untap, I think he'll finally get to the point where he can play Nahiri with negate backup.
Yeah, he's still only got single blue, so Torrential Gear Hulk, not a big concern.
Alright, there's a Thalia. So she's a Gremlin Slayer.
She is a adept at fighting gremlins, that is certainly true.
Alright, but now Danny, look at that, he's already preparing the mana. Feldar Guardian, blink the Oath of Chandra.
It does come into play tapped.
Indeed, because of Thalia.
A parting shot from Thalia. The enchantment, I don't know if the enchantment comes into play tapped, I don't believe so.
I think it only affects lands and creatures.
Non-basic
lands, yeah,
there we go.
Of course.
4 points coming through, the gremlins charge on.
And negate back up now, as a Scrappy Scrounger is going to come back for Sam.
Can't block, but it will be able to attack. The life total is currently 14 to 14, but both these players with creatures on the board should be able to do something about that.
Yeah, and Sam is now actually in a weird spot where he has to respect the Saheeli Rai combo. Potentially killing him would mean that he either has to keep up mana to kill the Feldar Guardian, or just kill it right away.
Now,
swinging.
Question for you.
Yeah.
There's a Mardu deck playing. Does it have Unlicensed Disintegration in hand?
Yes. Always.
Yes, it does.
Always.
It always does.
Yeah, the question is, I don't think he has enough red mana to do everything that he wants, and I think he could make it work if he played Chandra and Plust.
And he has Ether Hub, Spire of Industry, and Inspiring Vantage. So there is some red mana there, but there's a lot of different things that he wants to be doing with red mana.
Yeah, but Danny has so many cards in his hand. Hasn't even played a Glimmer of Genius, but overall he just hasn't played that many cards. The release, the Gremlins both have done a really good job at creating a good board situation for him. He has used his Needle Spires to good effect. The Oath of Chandra was already basically used twice thanks to that Feldar Guardian. And just Danny just swinging back. Right, Nahiri, and now he'll get to exile the pesky Scrappy Scrounger if he wants to, but he does have a blocker as well.
He's also going to get to trigger Oath of Chandra. He's played a Planeswalker this turn.
True.
Couple of points.
It all helps. Okay, two. Yeah, he's going to get rid of the Scrounger. Now I think Sam will be prompted into action to play the Unlicensed Disintegration response, because as he wants to deal the 3 damage for as long as he has an artifact in play. Now look at that, Samuel Vio. Yeah, hard in thought. He knows he's in rough shape. Those gremlins have been annoying.
Alrighty. Action stations here for Samuel Viole. We can see him figuring out exactly what he wants to be doing here.
Yeah, so in response, Unlicensed Disintegration on the Feldar Guardian. Is that going to prompt the negate? Yes. Yeah, Danny holding on to that for a very long time, but a little short on blue mana for the whole game. But Samuel Vio, of course, has another one.
They always do. Pick a number of Unlicensed Disintegration, apparently.
Yeah, and he gets to kill off the Nahiri. with the damage from the unlicensed disintegration. Still, that was all still in response to the Nahiri minus ability, but as you pointed out, the Oath of Chandra still gets to ping in for 2, and that's 2 closer to Samuel Vio's death, who also has a shock. Danny has a shock in hand as well, so the end is nigh.
Hungry gremlins may yet get there. Also, Needle Spire's in play.
Exactly, yeah. And Wandering Fumarole too.
And all that energy being spent alongside tapping 3 other lands. Gets to cast Chandra Taunts of Defiance, immediately ticking up to 5.
It gets 2 red mana, that's neat. And then a Gideon. I like that.
Super Friends assemble. Bringing along a Knight ally.
Yeah, we should call this deck Mardu Super Friends, because we've seen 3 Planeswalkers on the battlefield for this sort of deck before.
Well, Obnixilis in the deck and Nahiri. There's 4 different Planeswalkers in the deck.
But I think this game is over just because Danny can shock the 9 ally and transform his Needle Spires into a creature and swing for 8, ignoring both Planeswalkers. And I don't think there's anything that Sam Vio can do for 1 white or black mana. Just Danny going through the motions, figuring out if what that means. And by that I want to say that if Samuel Vio would have something like Fatal Push, for example, that's a reasonable card to expect, even though I would assume that Fatal Push would go to sideboard. But now you see he kind of like account for the options, like, yeah, even if that happens, this is still a fine play, and he's going to go for the kill right away. He doesn't want to pass up the chance of winning. And there you see it, we're going to go to game 3.
Alrighty, 9-0. It turns out that both of these decks have some fight in them. We're going to get a chance to see some more of that one soon enough. Let's just get a quick look at our feature match area, see if we have any other games going, though. I know that we have at least one more undefeated matchup going on, and it looks like, once again, synchronized shuffling going on. The fact that there is shuffling going on suggests to me that our other undefeated match, that between Yupan, Jackie Chan, and Andrei Stradsky, also going to a game 3.
Yeah. No, and I'm not surprised. The games took a similarly long time, just because both Danny DeRoy and Andrei Stradsky run the control deck. They both lost game 1, and so it just takes a while before they win. And I think if either of these 2 players are going to win game 3, it's going to take quite a while.
And just to let you guys know, of course, we'll bring you as much live magic as we can from our feature match area. If it happens to work out that we finish this round with a little bit of time before things kick off in the next, we do have some replays from toward the end of yesterday to bring you. One of the stories of this tournament has been the variety of decks that we've seen, so as much magic as we can bring you, that's what we're going to do. And later on in the day, we're going to have a few rounds with Rich where he gets to bring a pro into the booth to commentate a few extra matches in between our live matches as well. So plenty more magic for you across the day here from Utrecht in the Netherlands. But in the meantime, as these players shuffle up, it looks like we're going to get a tiny little bit of a look in at Yupan, Jackie Chan versus Andrei Stradsky as they kick off their game 3, just while the sideboarding continues elsewhere in our feature match area.
They're both pairs are yeah. Andre probably just thinking with which line he wants to lead off with. He also has a Spire Bluff Canal in his hand. Let's see if Jackie can have a good start here. He has the good amount of lands, and there you go.
Yeah, Voltaic Brawler there coming in. I'm not sure. Oh, there was a turn 1 elephant.
Yeah, Green Belt Rampager. Exactly. We're always like wondering. Energy. Yeah, it's like, why does he have 1 energy after turn 1? It's like, it's not a tune with Ether. No, it was the Green Belt Rampager.
Does mean, of course, that this Voltaic Brawler gets to hit in for a lot of damage now.
No removal from Andrei Stradsky. Has to make Jackie Chan feel a little confident.
Yeah, these early turns are where Jackie really wants to pile on damage if he can, because once Andrei Stradsky has 3, 4, 5 lands in play and a little bit of room to maneuver, he can do an awful lot with his spells. But in the meantime, Jackie just getting in the damage early. 16 life so far for Andrei Stradsky. Negate on Attune with Ether.
I don't think he's going to mind that much. I mean, it does mean that he won't have any more energy left, but I think Jackie Chan had still at least 1 more land in his hand, maybe even 2. So this just means that he's going to be able to keep attacking for a lot of damage.
Yeah, Dynavolt Tower didn't impact the board at all immediately. At some point, it will become a very big game. Here comes a tireless tracker immediately getting a clue from playing a land and getting an energy from playing an ether hub. That means that Voltaic Brawler can hit in for more if Jackie Chan wishes, and it looks like he does. Hits Andre down in a big swing there, down to single digits.
Yeah, down to 9 already, and with Jackie Chan having, he was just wondering, like, maybe wondering if he had revealed the line to the game show the turn before, but he did. He was just making sure the mana was correct there. But I like the use of the Ether Hub getting the extra energy for the Voltaic Brawler anyway. And by running out the Tireless Tracker, Andre just has so much to deal with. And because he didn't kill anything on turn 2 when he had some red mana and tap, it just makes me think that Andre actually doesn't have removal here. Even the Radiant Flames wouldn't be that great here, just because the Green Belt Rampager would survive.
We're going to stay with this one for just a second or two more. We've heard that the other match has just kicked off, but by the looks of things here, Yupan Jackie Chan could score a quick upset in this third game, taking down Platinum Pro Andre Stradsky, unless he's able to find something fairly big quite quickly. Attune with Ether, getting him up to the energy he needs to at least deal with Tireless Tracker, but so many other threats on the board. Yeah,
exactly. There's still 6 damage on the board, and Andre just had to expand energy from Ether Hub and tap out a little bit for the Attune with Ether, so that he's not able to do anything with this. And Jackie Chan also has the clue to sacrifice, draw an additional card, maybe an energy generator for the Voltaic Brawler, just to keep on piling damage.
Yeah, this next turn, I mean, he's already representing 6 damage. If he can make it any more without Andre disrupting that plan, then it may be too much for Stradsky's come back from.
Plenty of land for Jackie Chan, though. That's something that is going for Andre in this game. This is a really big struggle if your opponent has such a pretty good draw. It's very hard to come back for the control decks. Ooh, look at that. Release the Gremlins drawn for Yupan Jackie Chan. It's another creature on the board while getting rid of the tower if he decides to play it, which I think he will. He might want to attack first to see if Andre taps out low, just to prevent any negate and disallow shenanigans.
Here come the attacks. Just a shrug from Andre Stradsky. He drops down to just 3 points of life here.
And you know what 3 points of life means in a deck that includes black and red mana?
Well, I mean, typically it's Mardu where we're talking about unlicensed disintegration, but they do not have the monopoly on such things. Greenbelt Rampager here, effectively being played for 3 mana, but it means that there are 3 lethal threats on the battlefield.
And look at the 3 lands for Andre Stradsky in hand. I think he does have a Torrential Gearhulk, but I think this game is almost over, unless he has a Confiscation Coup. And even then, like, the life totals have not been updated, so that means that I think Andre is down to 3 here.
Has to use Confiscation Coup to steal
and
an elephant.
This is good. He got the 2 energy because he played the sorcery, and then 6 total. Only had to use 1 to get the Rampager, and now that means that he can actually shoot down the Voltaic Brawler with the Dynavolt Tower. So he's still very much in this game. Confiscation Coup doing work.
Rishkar Pima Renegade, the draw there for Yupan Jackie Chan. He gets to throw some counters around, but it's not exactly where he wants to be. I guess that it means that Greenbelt Rampager, his Greenbelt Rampager will win a fight with any opposing Greenbelt Rampager.
Yeah. I mean, if he plays the Rishkar, he should definitely go for putting counters on Rishkar itself and the Greenbelt Rampager, and not the Voltaic Brawl that would just die to the tower. Andre Stradsky hanging on.
But 3 life, very, very close to the end. Circling the drain, Andre Stradsky needs to find something if he wants to keep his unbeaten streak alive. He's released the Gremlins. Forcing action for Andre Stradsky. Gets a Gremlin in play. And here comes that Rishkar Pima Renegade. Going to be counters going on the Gremlin and the Greenbelt Rampager. That does mean that the Rampager is able to attack in, forces a chump block from the Greenbelt Rampager on the other side. Some elephant-on-elephant violence there from Yupan Jackie Chan. And there is just 3 points of life left for Stradsky, and he's desperately trying to backpedal just to do whatever he can to stay alive here.
I've got to be honest, Tim, this expert seat's quite easy. I think Yupan Jackie Chan's winning.
I think you might be right. Big swings coming here, and there's the handshake from Yupan Jackie Chan, Andrei Stradsky. So Yupan Jackie Chan advancing to 10-0 here, and we get a chance to drop back into our other 9-0 match, that one between Danny DeRoy and Samuel Vio. And it looks like Samuel's got a nice little board going on here for himself. Gideon, ally of Zendikar, Knight, ally token, Thraben Inspector with a clue, alongside just a Well of Virtuoso, a little bit of energy.
Yeah, so with 4 energy, Tim, Well of Virtuoso can, and here we go from 4 down to 1, let's have another Thopter on Danny DeRoy's side of the board. That can get in the way of a rather large Gideon, which is indestructible anyway, so the size of the Thopter not particularly relevant at this point. Incidentally, if you're wondering, I'm Rich Hagen, not Matej Big Z Zatlkai. He had to step away for a moment. He'll be back very shortly. As we see Obnixilis reignited.
Yeah, one of the features of Samuel Vio's deck, it is a Mardu list that's running a larger than average number of larger than average planeswalkers, spending a point of, or gaining a point of loyalty there, losing a point of life, gaining a card in hand. This one of the ways that the Mardu deck's able to battle against control planeswalkers. Pretty solid in that matchup, though it must be said, if you can fly over with Thopters, you do have a little way of pressuring them.
Since we have an all-British booth, Tim, worth mentioning, I mentioned it in chat earlier, 3 British players at 8-1 overnight. Brad Barkley of Scotland, Drad Choker, and Tom Law.
Yeah, 2 members of Team Axion now. Tom Law, who was on the British, or the English national side at the World Magic Cup. Great performance from them. Very excited to see how they get on today. But here we have 2 of the 9-0 players. Not many 9-0 players left in the tournament. We just saw Andrei Stradsky dropping to Yupan Jackie Chan. At most, we will have 2 10-0s going into the next round.
Yeah, so Yupan Jackie Chan has the possibility of being the lone undefeated player, which there is a certain poetry to that because, of course, no one can defeat Jackie Chan.
It has been suggested.
Well, there's lots of video evidence to suggest that this is true.
He was actually in Enter the Dragon and didn't do very well. He was a stunt double, or a stunt man in, it was his first film.
Really?
Enter the Dragon, yeah.
Awesome. I did not know this. See, life lessons right here on the home of Magic the Gathering.
Making the world a better place. I mean, just checking all of the different abilities there on Obnixilis Reignited. Danny DeRoy there. Obnixilis, it's a great one to have in play because it does just gradually generate you lots of card advantage.
I quite enjoyed, it's always nice when you actually straight up learn something on camera. I enjoyed that Release the Gremlins interaction earlier in the round.
Yeah, it's something that not everything is worded quite the same way. The fact that it's just got 2 separate effects, you very quickly sort of can figure out that actually they both work sort of independently of each other, even though they're on one card. A big shock there, clearing the path a little bit for Danny DeRoy. And he now has a Planeswalker of his own in Nahiri, the Harbinger. Immediately ticks up. You don't actually have to discard a card when you tick up Nahiri. You can just choose to not do so, just get the loyalty. If you don't discard, though, you don't get to draw. That's the bargain.
So a pair of Planeswalkers at 6 loyalty each, plus a Gideon ally of Zendikar at 4. The Well of Virtuoso is essentially turned off right now. There's only 1 energy for Danny DeRoy.
And Vio, looking at an Oath of Liliana in hand, obviously plays very nicely with Planeswalkers. Not so well if there's lots of creatures on the battlefield, though. So you can see Obnixilis killing off Thopter. That meaning that now at least, if you do play the Oath of Liliana, it'll deal with a real creature, that Well of Virtuoso. Gideon coming in, choosing not to hit Nahiri, simply going for Danny DeRoy's life total, dropping him to 9.
I'd be quite scared if I was Danny when that happens.
There's the Oath of Liliana. That will force Danny to sacrifice a creature. Only the one option.
Scrap Heap Scrounger up next for Vio, and as you'd expect, you want the can't block to be completely irrelevant, and right now it completely is.
Yeah, Scrap Heap Scrounger, just another recurring source of advantage. But look at this gigantic quarantine field here. 2 different Planeswalkers, both sent to the naughty step.
Oh, how good is that?
Very, very powerful use of the card there. Had to expend an energy with Ether Hub. No, sorry, Inspiring Vantage there for the 2nd white mana. Nahiri up to 10 loyalty. Not too
8.
many... yes, 8 loyalty.
Yes.
Not too many gigantic creatures to pull out of the deck.
Or 226, depending on how you're looking at the board.
It's not 226, thank goodness. But yeah, not too many gigantic creatures to pull out with Nahiri's ultimate in Danny's deck, though it's worth noting that it does make assembling the Saheeli Rai combo a little bit easier if that's what you want to do.
I don't see every round of Magic for sure at GPs and PTs. I'm quite busy. But when did this all become Planeswalker world again? Where's just Planeswalkers everywhere?
I think it's when the format slowed down a little bit, that was kind of the big deal there. Samuel Vio was able to pull it out there. He did just continually get to attack in, able to make things happen. Dealing with Quarantine Field, an option, but that is our last match in the feature match area for now. We are going to bring you a replay soon enough, but first, these messages.